As long as anyone would be dealing with other people, my advice to them would be to play nicely. And I would focus in on this word nicely. What does it mean to play nicely? I would start with the opposite. The opposite would be something like roughly. And when people play roughly, it's only a matter of time until it's all fun and games until someone gets hurt. And that's not a fun situation for anyone. Not for the one who got hurt, and not for the one who did the hurting. Even if they end up winning and conquering and moving forward, they'll always have that regret. So, my definition to playing nicely would be not always keeping score, not always worrying about who's winning or losing, but making sure that everyone is having fun. Now, there can be criticism to this viewpoint. What about winning? What about being the best? What about rankings in sports and competition? And my answer would be that play and competition are not mutually exclusive. If I asked you who is your favorite athlete in your favorite sport, you'll probably come up with a name of someone who also played gracefully and beautifully. And that's not by coincidence, because the point to performance is not only achieving results, but also doing it in some kind of an artistic way. Because even a machine could beat most people in sports and competitions. But there's something more, like the human touch, which will also inevitably include love. And on top of this artistic element, there's also the element of culture. Our favorite athletes, inadvertently, will also end up being respectful towards other people, whether they are winning or losing. And when everyone is playing and having fun, they can continue with their practice and continue improving. We have all seen what someone overly competitive looks like. They come onto the scene as if they're number one, and they make others feel worse, so they'll be losing friends around them. But if we look at that person closely enough, we'll see that whatever they're doing, they're not having fun. They have high expectations in their own mind, and they're giving full exertion to meet them, but they can't always do it. Besides, they're the worst when they actually lose to someone else, because then their whole ego gets crushed, and they stalk off the field, and if they're lucky that there are people around them who care about them, someone might actually go and bring them back and console them. But over time, we might imagine that this can be heavy and burdensome to others, so they might be losing good friends along the way. Another loss they might experience is if they take a few defeats in a row, they might quit altogether before they have had the chance to reach their full potential. Now, it's not hard to see where this kind of behavior could be coming from. There are insecurities. Maybe they come from childhood. If, let's say, a parent made them feel like they were not good enough, and they have to spend their whole life now proving themselves to this other person. It's not even a fair comparison. It's comparing an adult with a child who has not yet had the chance to develop. And that's the way this image gets into the mind, and that's how it stays. It could stay that way for life. A person could be doing what would please another and completely missing the life they were supposed to live, that they wanted for themselves. So the remedy would be to clear away this comparison. Firstly, with this giant, this shadow in the mind, and secondly, with other people. As they say, to compete with oneself, to set marks of performance and then try to beat those, except not always do it every single time, because maybe certain days a person is not rested properly, or they still need more training to develop new skills, and then to break their own records. So it'll take some time. There needs to be some kind of patience. So again, we're getting away from competition and moving more toward a fun-loving aspect that will keep people going over the long run so they can become, as they say, the best version of oneself. Let's consider masters at their craft. To them, power is not important. They're not out there tearing up the field in utter destruction like some beasts or demons. They're out there playing lightly, as people might make fun of others, like fairies. Yeah, they just touch the ball and it goes flying on some crazy angle. It meets its mark halfway across the field. They score and win the game. Then there's an element of character. In victory, they don't run around showboating and disrespecting their opponent, but they might go over and give words of encouragement. Or when they lose, they don't give up, they don't act out. They'll congratulate the opponent and promise to everyone that they'll train harder and do better next time. So again, even to the masters, what's important is not always who wins or loses, but always to learn, and sometimes the biggest lessons are learned in defeat, and to keep improving.